YouTube.
You can hear him. You can not hear him, but you can see him now. Stop, stop, and he's holding her wrist, and he's just pushing. And now he's talking about, get away, go, go, get out of there.
He's not the type to like talk about shit. He was always running. Anytime I wanted to talk to him, I was.
It's not made of pieces.
So what is God made of?
Immaterial.
So it's not. So it's not even a thing. So it doesn't exist. Okay.
No, it's immaterial.
So it's not made of anything.
Yeah.
So it doesn't exist.
No, that's I never said that. I never said that.
Do you name anything else that exists that isn't made of anything?
That's what the necessary existence is unique.
So there's only one of these things, and it has the exact same properties as nothing, but it's the necessary thing. This is fantastic.
You're defining it as nothing.
No, I'm telling you that it has the same properties as nothing. Actually, you told us that it has those properties. I'm just here to point
I
out.
never said it's nothing, but it's this.
I know you didn't, and that's not what I said. What I said was, you told us that it has the same properties as nothing.
Well, it's not made of pieces.
It is not made of anything. Therefore, it
not-
doesn't
it's not
exist.
composed
It's
of-
nothing.
It's not composed of individual, distinguishable pieces.
It's not composed of anything, which is what nothing is. Let's do it this way. What is nothing made out of? No. What is nothing made of?
By definition, nothing is just nothing.
What is it made of?
Nothing.
What is it made of?
How could it be made of something?
So nothing is not made out of anything. You agree?
It's a concept.
Nothing is not made out of anything. Do you agree?
Yeah.
What is this necessary being made out of?
It's not.
It's not made.
Uh,
What is this necessary being made out of?
It's not made up of physical things.
It's not made up of anything.
It's not physical.
It does not exist. It has the same properties as nothing.
It's not physical.
Yeah, which is the property that things that don't exist share. Would you like a Venn diagram?
But listen,
Here's a Venn diagram of things that don't exist and your necessary being. I know the filter's making it not appear. Hold up. I drew a Venn diagram of things that don't exist and the necessary being that you have told us about. It's a circle.
yeah, that's a circle.
In the words of Ralph Wiggum, it's a circle.
So what are you trying to do?
Your mom?
Well, like, you're childish, man.
Sometimes I don't take things that aren't seriously. I don't take things that aren't serious very seriously.
The universe is not necessary.
Yeah, it's not made of anything. Well, no, the universe is necessary because it can't not exist.
It contradicts it.
Does the universe exist?
Yes.
Therefore, the law of non-contradiction or whatever says that the universe can't not exist. Therefore, it's necessary. There, boom,
No, it's
boom goes the dynamite.
contingent.
It's not.
Contingent.
Nope.
Because it's made up of pieces. It can be any
It has
other
to
way.
be, otherwise it wouldn't exist. Boom.
It can be any other way.
No, it can't.
For example, like a necessary thing, like for example, a necessary effect is 2 + 2 = 4. That's a necessary effect. It cannot be any other way.
No, you could literally change your base system and then 2 plus 2 would equal 10.
No, that's not possible because
No, it literally is possible. We invented math and we determine what the rules are. So if you just change your base system, then 2 plus 2 doesn't equal 4.
that's your at that point you're refuting logic.
No, because again, we invented logic, and so it works by the rules that are set up in place for it. So no, I'm not.
Invented?
Yeah.
Logic
Logic is descriptive, not prescriptive. I'm so sick of you idiots coming up here and trying to make this stupid transcendental argument that, or whatever this is, that logic is anything other than that. I'm so sick of it.
it is invented if you
Because it's descriptive, not prescriptive.
and how do you know that?
Because that's literally the way we use it.
So that at that point, from your perspective, it's arbitrary.
No, it's grounded in reality, which is not arbitrary. It really exists. In fact, it's grounded in the necessary thing.
And what's the necessary thing?
Reality, the universe, the set of all things that
So the
exist.
universe is not.
Yes, it is. I've chosen to define it
I
that
already
way.
explained it to you many times, man. I already told you.
No, you told me that something that has the properties that nothing has is the necessary thing.
Okay, listen. It can
I
be
did
any
listen.
other- Okay, listen.
Yeah,
It can single thing can be any other way.
yeah, the universe can't be any other way.
Yes, it can. Yes, it can. Yes, it
No. Do you have any proof that it can be any other way?
Things are changing. Things are changing. Like it's not like. It's
Yeah,
not,
well, that's the way the universe is. It
It's not
can't be any other way.
it's not fixed.
What?
It's not fixed.
That doesn't matter.
It can be any other way.
Does God make decisions and do things?
Yes.
Oh, so God changes throughout time. Okay,
No,
well, God's
no,
not
no,
necessary
no.
then. Okay, so what do you want to talk about next?
The universe can be any other way,
No, it actually can't.
and it's finite too.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is because it's
No,
it's
It's
expanding.
got flat, the shape of space is flat. It means it goes on forever. Anyway, so what do you want to talk about next?
No, it's expanding. That shows it's finite. How can something that's infinite be expanding? That's
Your inability to comprehend it is not an argument. What do you want to talk about next?
if it's expanding, that means it's finite.
No,
There's an outside to it.
no. There are literally different kinds of infinity. Infinity can get bigger.
There is an outside to it. There has to be
No, there isn't.
location. Then how is then you're basically saying it's not expanding.
I'm basically saying that it is infinite and it is expanding.
That's a logical contradiction.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. How can something expand and just
Your inability to comprehend it is not an argument.
then you have to demonstrate it because that goes against logic.
There are different kinds of infinity. Different infinities are greater in value than other infinities, so infinity can grow. This is literally known. How many numbers exist between 0 and 1?
0 and 1 about 0.
So could you give the real answer?
No.
Okay. How many possible distances are there between a point A and another point that we will call point B? How many possible distances between 2 points are there?
Can you clarify? Can you give me clarity?
Not really, because this is so unbelievably simple. How many possible distances are there between 2 points?
How many possible distances are there between 2 points? It depends on the 2 points.
It literally does not. So how many possible distances are there between 2 points?
Any possibility.
The answer is infinity. So I'll ask you the same question for the third time, and I will tell you what the answer is. How many possible distances are there between 2 points? And as a reminder, the answer is infinity.
Infinity.
Great, there you go. Now, how many possible points are there between, how many possible distances are there between 2 points that are farther away from each other than that initial point that I just described?
Infinity.
Infinity. But one of those infinities is greater than the other.
Where is he, like, how is this gonna solve the contradiction or the?
It's not a contradiction. I'm demonstrating to you that there are different kinds of infinities that are bigger than other infinities, so infinity can grow.
Infinity can grow?
Yep.
Infinity
I see no logical problem with the concept of infinity growing.
goes on forever.
Hmm.
Infinity is a concept that goes on forever.
Sure. So there are no real infinities? Is that what you're saying?
If something is infinite, it goes on. There's no end to it. There's no
Are you saying that there's no such thing as a real infinity?
infinity. Is something that grows.
Yeah, so the question, I'll ask it for a third time. Are you saying that there's no such thing as a real infinity?
No,
Okay,
I'm not sure about like,
you're not
Yeah.
sure. Okay, what do you want to talk about next?
but yeah, like they still haven't solved the contradiction. But let's move on.
There is no contradiction, but we are going to move on. What do you want to
The
talk about?
logical contradiction. If you want to live with that, that's your decision. But I already explained it to you. There has to be.
And I explained to you that there are different quantities of infinity, some that are larger than others. So the idea that something that is infinite is growing is not a contradiction.
But that doesn't solve the problem of the necessary existence and the contingent.
Oh, well, I agree it wouldn't solve that, but I don't think that that was ever a problem. The universe is the necessary thing. I choose to define it that way.
Because it's made up of pieces and it can be.
Yeah, but it could not be any other way. It can only be made up of pieces like the way that it is. That's the only
in
possibility.
another way.
Otherwise, it wouldn't exist.
It can be conceived in another way.
Okay, I can conceive God in any kind of way. Thor, Mithra, Jesus, Yahweh, Tawa, Spider-Woman, Spider-Man. Now, Spider-Man's not a god, but Spider-Woman really is. I think it's a Navajo god, or it might be an Apache god. I'm not sure. Yeah, I can imagine any kind of god.
But I'm saying the cosmos is not necessary.
Yes, it is.
Listen, I know you wanna listen. It can be any.
I know you want to just define things to be what they are, and I want to do the same thing too. I don't really get why I'm not allowed to do that, but you guys are. I don't get it.
You agree to be conceived differently.
Maybe, but I can conceive God in any way I want, so therefore it's not necessary.
Alright, man, I'm gonna just see you later. You're just.
Oh man, I hope not.
You've skipped right past whether or not the religious moral system in question is advocating for something that is moral or immoral.
If it wasn't true, would you still vote for that? Because you think it's a fact.
I think that's
So you're willing to advocate for things that you don't think are true in order to manipulate people. What happens when they find out that the thing you used to manipulate them isn't true? Hi everyone, thanks for watching. Most of the content on my channel is supported by generous patrons, but made available for free to the entire world. If you support that,
Welcome in, Paul.
Hello.
Paul, are you a Christian?
Yes, I'm a Christian.
Great. Are you at least 18?
Prove Jesus is not necessary. Bro, you're not gonna pass the fucking ball?
say you have one evidence of a deity. I would like one evidence, please.
Okay. Have you heard about like a necessary existence?
I've heard the term, yeah.
Okay, do you know what that is? Like, okay, what do you think the necessary existence is?
It's something that can't not exist.
Yeah, there has to be like, for example, the universe is like contingent, and there's like a
It is?
necessary existence that
The universe is contingent,
yeah, it's contingent. Yeah,
and we know that.
yeah. The
How do
universe
we know that?
because of the before I tell you that, I have to explain it. So there's a contingent existence and there's a necessary existence, which the necessary existence cannot fail to exist, but the universe is contingent? Like the universe is dependent, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I heard that.
You can say it other way, like it's possible, basically. It's a possible existence.
Yeah, I've also heard that necessary and contingent. Contingent means it could have been in some other way. Necessary means
you got it.
it could not be in any other way. Which seems ridiculous to me. I don't understand how a God can have free will and the freedom to do other things and be
That
necessary.
hasn't gone to that part. You're trying to strawman. I'm not trying to like.
I'm
Don't-
not trying to strong
Okay,
man.
like I know you wanna run away, but like don't try to.
That's literally not happening at all.
Okay, do you accept that there is a necessary existence?
No.
Why?
Because just saying that's the way things ought to, or that's the way things are, is just so.
Okay, do you think is the cosmos dependent or independent?
The cosmos is there.
That is,
I believe that would probably satisfy your definition of necessary, but perhaps maybe not. But perhaps there are multiple universes, but there would still just be one. You can still consider them to be one universe.
okay. You're dependent. You agree that you're dependent.
That was not your question. Your question was the cosmos.
I'm trying to get to it. I'm trying to build.
No, that is what you said. So we're not going to talk about me.
Okay,
So you said the cosmos. You said the cosmos is contingent, and I see absolutely no reason to assert that the cosmos is
because
contingent.
everything part of it, everything that makes it up is contingent.
That doesn't mean that it is contingent.
Because everything is relying on itself, so it's contingent.
No.
It's made of. It's
Can God exist if God doesn't exist?
I haven't used that word because I'm not.
Can God exist if God doesn't
I'm not trying to
exist?
be called a feminist.
Yeah, so the question was, can God exist if God doesn't exist?
That's a logical contradiction.
Yeah, so the question is, can God exist if God doesn't exist?
That doesn't.
Yeah, so for the fourth time, the question is, can God exist if God doesn't exist?
What are you trying to?
Yeah, so the question for the fifth time is, if God doesn't exist,
No,
can God exist?
No,
Oh, then God's contingent.
no. The way you're saying, you're wording it differently.
The way I'm wording it is like the way you are talking about the universe. Oh, the universe itself is the universe? Oh, well then that means it's contingent.
I haven't said that.
There are a subset of things of the universe. The set of all things, which is universe, contains things that are part of the set. Therefore, it's contingent. I think that that's stupid. Now, maybe I'm stupid. It's your job to try to figure that out.
Okay, please listen. Do you agree that the cosmos is made up of pieces or parts?
Yep. Does God have properties? Yep. Therefore,
No,
God's contingent.
no,
There we go. The
no.
end. What do you want to talk about next?
Please, like, don't try to like give me a hard time. Right? Please. Yes, you said yes.
Okay, sweetie, I'll go easy.
There has to be like an external source that
Why is that?
assembled it. And assembled it.
Why is that?
Because it's possible to be disassembled.
How do you know that?
Because if anything that's made up of pieces can be disassembled.
So if this pencil didn't exist, the universe wouldn't exist?
No, that can be disassembled.
No? Okay.
It's made up of parts. Anything that's made up of parts can be disassembled.
Do you think Jesus existed?
I'm not talking about it, but
Do you think Jesus existed?
that's not what I'm talking about.
Do you think that Jesus existed?
That's not my deity, so we're not talking about that.
Okay, well, if you just admit you're not a Christian, then okay. This argument wouldn't work for Christianity because Jesus had skin flakes that he lost and were destroyed. So Jesus was disassembled, therefore Jesus cannot be a necessary being.
If I can't go from 0 to 1, I'm trying to get you to from 0 to 1.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm not guaranteeing you to do 100%. So I'm trying to tell you that there's an external view. Why do you not agree with it? So I can fix it. So I can refine it.
You're asserting that the universe has to be caused by something, and you
I
haven't
never said cause. I never used that word. I never used it. I never used that word. I never used the word causality.
Yeah, I know.
That's why I'm trying to stay away from it. So I don't have to be, falling for any fallacies.
Has the universe always existed?
There's no evidence for it.
That the universe has always existed?
Yeah, there's no evidence for it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So you know that there was an existence before the universe?
That's not what I'm saying.
Yes.
I'm saying there has to be like a necessary existence.
And it is the universe. There we go.
How do you know it's the universe?
I'm just defining it to be that.
The burden of proof is on you now.
There's no evidence of anything other than the universe. The universe, by definition, is all that exists. So, by definition, it's necessary. There we go. Boom. Philosophy is really easy. I don't know why more people don't do this.
There has to be an external explanation.
Nope. The universe just is. Brute fact. Necessary thing. There we go.
There has to be like a necessary or it could be
No, it's not. It should be because it's necessary.
anything made up of parts is independent.
Nope.
Or do you agree that particles are individual pieces that are put together?
Do particles exist? Yep.
Okay, are they made up of pieces, like different pieces put together?
Yep.
So it's complete.
No, because it cannot exist in that form. Therefore, it's not.
So it's complete.
Nope.
Made up of pieces.
Yeah, but it can't not exist in that form. So
The
there.
necessary existence cannot be made up of pieces.
Yes, it can.
It cannot.
So something that's necessary is made of nothing.
No, it's one single thing that cannot be made up of.
And that's what God is. So what is God made of?
Not made up of pieces.
So what is God made of?
Immaterial.
So it's not. So it's not even a thing. So it doesn't exist.
No, it's immaterial.
So it's not made of anything.
Yeah.
So it doesn't exist.
No, that's I never said that. I never said that.
Do you name anything else that exists that isn't made of anything?
That's what the necessary existence is.
So there's only one of these things, and it has the exact same properties as nothing, but it's the necessary thing. This is fantastic.
You're defining it as nothing.
No, I'm telling you that it has the same properties as nothing.
How can you have how can you have morality without God?
Why is a God? Why?
Well, if you look at it, the reason not here, because without an objective standard of good, if you look at the atheism, that just leads to moral collapse. Because it's necessarily true that all subjective morality is morally good. You don't have objective standard of good. If person A says,
But you believe that everything God says is good?
he has the objective will of the universe.
Then we have moral collapse. Because God could literally command anything, and it would always be good. So there's no standard there either.
Because, well, yes, it is, because your will is subjective. Your will is subjective and dependent upon your only has an influence in your sphere. So what you are doing, you're saying, as atheism is basically lawlessness, because you're saying that no matter whose behavior, if a greatness says, I great women in this, and that's my subjective morality. I great women, and here's some, you have to say.
I can say that they're wrong. Yeah, I can.
He has a no, you can't say it.
Yes, I can. I believe that it's wrong. I have that belief.
But I'm gonna
Maybe I
tell
can't. You're confusing, and people do this. You're confusing the fact that, and I wouldn't even call it a fact, but the proposition that perhaps I wouldn't be able to convince that person that they are wrong, that what they're saying isn't good, but I still believe it's good. So yes, I can say that it's wrong. In fact, I'm going to do it right now. It's wrong. Here's what you can't do. It's not that it's not wrong. I would say that it is wrong. So the only person here that could ever be in favor of raping women is you.
At the end of the day, if the rapist says is right and you say is wrong, both of your positions are more
Okay,
than good.
ready?
But you have no-
Ready? The greatest said God told me to do it. Now tell me whether it was right or wrong.
No, because that's not the case.
Angel,
That's not
the
the case.
greatest says God told me to do it. Now tell me whether or not it's right or wrong.
But that's a
What?
because we
Just answer the question.
no, because it's not
No.
It's not what God told him to do.
You
Listen,
don't know that.
I do. We have an objective standard of good spoken through the words of Jesus.
So rape is defined as being not good, therefore we don't need God to know that it's wrong.
Let me tell you why I can say the great.
Angel, you didn't hear what I said.
So
So
please tell you
even
why.
so God could not possibly have done that because God is bound by these moral rules or
Well,
moral
I'm gonna
laws or
tell you
whatever.
why.
Sexual assault is defined as being wrong, so
I'm
God
gonna explain to you
commanded
why.
it. We don't require God to know it.
Okay. I'm gonna explain to you why. Because God's will, God has the objective will of yours. His will was spoken through Jesus Christ. Jesus said, I command you to love one another. Jesus said, love your neighbor as you love yourself.
Great.
Jesus said, forgive them, Father, for they know not what to do. Jesus taught us, Jesus is our objective standard of
What
morality.
if Jesus said to rape somebody?
Because that's ridiculous. Because we already have His word. So you, as a
So we should only do the things that Jesus said. Should we ban Congress members from trading stocks? Jesus didn't say whether or
because
not we should
Jesus
do that.
is the objective standard of good.
You're just such a bloviating. There's no point in having conversations with you sometimes. It's so
But
frustrating.
you not I'm asking you to ask me the question. If atheists, if all morality is good, how can atheists be
I never
good?
said all morality is good.
It has to be within atheism, though. Do you
No, it
know how
doesn't.
morality? Hold up. Do you
Angel,
know
I
how
literally
morality-
believe that things like sexual assault are wrong. So
Do
obviously,
you know
I'm
how-
capable
hold
of
up.
believing
Do you know how morality is defined? Define morality for me.
that. Morality is like the idea of like actions we should or should not do.
No, it's not. Let me read the definition straight from the dictionary. And the principles concerning the distinction between right and wrong and good and bad behavior.
Yes, so we should and should not do.
As an atheist,
That's what I said.
between right and wrong is right. So you have modal collapse. If a person says, I rape women, and that's right,
If a person says God told me to do it, then according to you, they are right.
atheism is illogical because it leads to modal collapse. Because it's just
That's assuming that moral facts are real.
you don't have no objective standard of good. So everybody's morality
Yeah, well, that
equally
is
good.
Angel, let's do a quick timeout here because there's actually an important question that I wanted to ask you. Do you believe you can derive an ought from an is?
A what?
Do you believe you can derive an ought from an is?
Explain what you're saying.
You don't know about this? This is like a fundamental thing in philosophy.
No. Explain what you're saying.
Can you say what the way things are determines what we should do?
Dunk the ball, you big
if
bastard.
Yeah. If you're an atheist, you're a soulless animal with no moral law. So you don't have any moral law.
You're not
So
even trying to answer the question.
I just answered you. Within the context of atheism, yes, because you're a soulless animal with no moral law. So if you want to rape women or you want to sex traffic women,
No.
and that's your morality, then yes, that's perfectly fine. It's morally good to an atheist. How can it not be morally good to an atheist?
God commanded Moses to capture little girls and keep them as spoils of war for themselves. So was that wrong?
nothing God does is wrong.
Yeah, so you don't believe that even the sexual assault of children is wrong. You don't believe that sexually assaulting children is wrong.
I'm
Raping
explaining
children is fine if God says so. Angel 2024.
I'm gonna explain this to you again, like I'm in the third grade class. Everything God's will is good. God's divine will was working through subjective human morality that led to the death and birth and resurrection of Jesus Christ. All our commandments come from Jesus Christ, who says to love one another, who says forgive the bless those who persecute you. All our objective morality comes from the words of Jesus Christ. Your subjective morality comes from your limited mind. You think your mind is superior to God. So any atheist, and you can't have any distinction when every distinction between right and wrong is equally good and equally right, you have modal collapse. So atheism is I'll just go by that, but without God, God is a necessity. Because without God, all you have is modal collapse because everybody's position is good.
Okay.
You have one saying.
Okay, person A
You have
says,
one
God,
saying.
Angel, stop. Person A says, God told me to kill that guy. Person B, oh, God told me not to do that. Who is correct?
Listen,
So now you're going to try to answer the question.
I am going to answer because you keep dodging though. Because you can't answer within the context of atheism. I can answer that question.
You think that you've discovered some grand problem that atheism has, but you have the same problems. Or
no, I don't. Because if it's not allowed,
you literally said it's fine that the Israelites raped children.
If it's not allowed,
So you have serious problems.
If it's not allowed with the word,
Angel, you refuse to condemn the capture and rape of children. You have problems.
Our morality comes from the words of Jesus Christ, who said, I command you to love one another.
And God commanded the Israelites to take little girls as spoils of war.
You can't defend atheism. I ask you in the context, you can't defend atheism. In the context of atheism, I'm asking you to
There's no such thing as in the context
talk
of
about
atheism.
yes it is. Talk about it without God, morality without God. Talk about it for a second from that point of view. If you don't have any God, and you have a sex trafficker that says, I sex traffic women because what's morally good to me is taking care of my family. That's what's right to me. That's his distinction between right and wrong. And that his position has to be morally good.
Tell me why sex trafficking is wrong.
Without his position has to be with I just told you.
No, you didn't. Tell me why it's wrong.
I just told you. Because it's not in line with the words of Jesus Christ.
Says who?
Who says it's not allowed with these who love one another.
When did he ever prohibit that?
You're not loving somebody by sex trafficking and put them out there on drugs. But you
Okay,
just
so what if God told somebody to do that?
Love, but he's not because it's not allowed with the words of God.
Great. So apparently God is bound.
Atheism.
So you're just saying that it's wrong by
questions.
it's so pointless talking to you. So, do you think you can derive an ought from an is?
Not an atheist.
Do you think you can?
Listen, you keep asking me such questions, and I keep telling you, you would not answer the questions.
Do you think you can derive an ought from an is? Don't deflect and talk about me, just answer the question from your point of view. Can you derive an ought from an is?
From my point of view, I keep telling you this. From my point of view, it's not about my subjective morality. It's about the objective. It's about the words of God.
Can you derive an ought from an is?
No, not based on my subjective, because my subjective morality is not the point. No.
Okay, so morals, by the definition of what morality is, it concerns the actions we should or should not take. So if you say God is the objective standard, that does not justify a reason for following those commandments, because you don't believe you can derive an ought from an is. So any kind of morality.
Alex.
The bitter online feud explodes into real-world violence. And now a popular YouTuber could face the death penalty. Two people, a husband and wife, were
Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today I will analyze the case of Catherine Hoggle. First, I'll look at the background of this case, move to the timeline of the crime, then offer my analysis. Catherine Ashley Hoggle was born on November 13, 1986, and lived in the state of Maryland. She was raised by her parents, Randy and Lindsay, and had 3 younger siblings. When Catherine was in middle school, she started to struggle with her classwork. She was diagnosed with a learning disability, and there were concerns that she may have bipolar disorder. Years later, Catherine was diagnosed with schizophrenia. Despite her challenges at school, Catherine graduated and attended community college. By 2007, she was working as a waitress at a sports bar in Germantown, Maryland. Catherine became romantically involved with a bouncer named Troy Turner. In the fall of 2008, they had a son named Clint. The family lived in Harrisonburg, Virginia, where Troy was employed selling timeshares. Everything seemed to be going well, but then Catherine started having symptoms of paranoia. For instance, she believed that evildoers were trying to break up her family. This belief did not prevent Catherine's family from growing. She and Troy had a daughter named Sarah in the fall of 2010 and a son named Jacob in the summer of 2012. The family moved to Clarksburg, Maryland, and lived in an apartment on Elm Forest Court. Catherine's father, Randy, lived in the apartment as well. By this time, he was divorced from Catherine's mother, Lindsay. In 2013, Catherine became convinced that Troy's sister was breaking into their apartment on a regular basis. She accused her of stealing a pack of undershirts and a plastic toy. Catherine also claimed that Troy's sister had followed her to places like the grocery store, a pediatrician's office, and her mother's house. The state refused to file criminal charges, and a judge would not grant a restraining order. It seemed likely that Catherine was suffering from delusions. Later, when she was driving with Troy in an SUV, she started whispering that the vehicle was bugged. She looked around the SUV for a listening device. Concerned for her well-being, Catherine's family members sought a court-ordered mental health evaluation. On August 13, 2013, the police transported Catherine to a mental health treatment facility. By the end of the year, she was involuntarily committed in another facility. In order to protect the 3 children, Troy enlisted the help of other people to make sure that an adult was always available to supervise Catherine. He did not want her to be alone at any point with the children. Several people participated in this endeavor, including Catherine's parents, siblings, Troy's mother and sister, various friends, and a babysitter. Catherine and the children spent time in the apartment in Clarksburg, as well as at her mother's house 10 miles south in Darnestown. The system to supervise Catherine when she was with the children appeared to be working. Now moving to the timeline of the crime. On September 8, 2014, Catherine's boyfriend, Troy, visited a police station in Germantown, Maryland, and reported that Catherine was missing, along with their 3-year-old daughter, Sarah, and their 2-year-old son, Jacob. Here is what the police found during the course of their investigation. One day earlier, on September 7, Catherine, her children, and her father, Randy, made their way to her mother, Lindsay's residence in Darnestown. At about 4 p.m., Catherine told her father that she had a coupon for pizza. She asked him if she could borrow his Nissan Rogue to go pick it up and bring it back. As she was speaking to Randy, her son Jacob was clinging to her. She said, "Let me just take him." Randy gave her permission, and Catherine and Jacob left in his vehicle. At about 7 p.m., which was 3 hours later, Catherine returned to her mother's home, but she did not have Jacob or the pizza. She indicated that she had dropped Jacob off at a playmate's residence for a sleepover. Later that evening, Catherine, Randy, and Catherine's other 2 children, Clint and Sarah, drove to the apartment in Clarksburg. At about midnight, Troy returned home from work and went to bed. He did not realize that Jacob was missing. The next morning, September 8th, at about 7:30 a.m., Troy's 5-year-old son, Clint, woke him up. Troy noticed that Catherine, Jacob, and Sarah were not in the apartment. Catherine's minivan was missing in the parking lot. At about 8:30 a.m., Troy put his son Clint on the bus and called 911. As he was doing this, Catherine pulled up to the bus stop alone. Troy asked her what happened to Sarah and Jacob. Catherine explained that she had placed them in a daycare facility under some type of trial program. This sounded reasonable to Troy because this is something they had talked about before. He told the 911 operator that the call was a false alarm. At 11 a.m., Troy took Catherine to a mental health appointment. When he picked her up at 2 p.m., he asked her to go with him to pick up Sarah and Jacob from the daycare. Catherine claimed that she couldn't remember the name of the address of the daycare. However, she could show him where it was located. The couple drove around Montgomery County for several hours, but never located the mysterious daycare. At about 6 p.m., Troy told Catherine that they needed to go to the police to report Sarah and Jacob missing. As they were driving to the station, Catherine asked to stop at a Chick-fil-A restaurant on Route 118 in Germantown. After they entered the restaurant together, Catherine went to the bathroom and tried to order a taxi using her cell phone. When she exited the bathroom, she told Troy she needed a refill. He walked back to the vehicle, and Catherine exited out the side door of the restaurant and left the area. When she failed to return to the vehicle, Troy continued to the police station alone and reported Catherine, Sarah, and Jacob missing. Later, investigators reviewed video surveillance from a Department of Energy building nearby and noticed that Catherine entered the lobby at 7:13 p.m. She left at 4:30 a.m. Her wallet, identification, and a sketch were found in a trash can. The sketch depicted a hand throwing away a minivan and 3 faces of what appear to be children. The police learned that Catherine's story about Jacob sleeping over at her playmate's home is not true. The playmate's family had not seen Jacob in over 3 weeks. Catherine's daycare story fell apart as well. On September 11, 2014, the police found Catherine walking along a road in Germantown and placed her under arrest. She was interviewed for several hours. Catherine told investigators that she gave the children to an old high school friend named Aaron. She did not know Aaron's last name or her address. Catherine was charged with 2 counts of neglect of a minor. Later, she was also charged with 1 count of obstruction of justice, 2 counts of abduction or unlawful detention of a child by a relative. On January 10, 2015, Catherine was found incompetent to stand trial and was committed to a secure mental health treatment facility. On September 14, 2017, the state dismissed all the charges against Catherine and obtained an indictment charging her with 2 counts of first-degree murder. The mental health evaluation indicated that Catherine continued to demonstrate prominent negative symptoms of schizophrenia, including paranoia and impoverished and tangential thinking. The clinician believed that Catherine was unable to assist in her own defense, and she was dangerous. She needed to receive inpatient care. On December 1, 2017, the court found that Catherine was incompetent to stand trial on the murder charges. Over the next 20 months, the same clinician performed 5 more evaluations and continued to believe that Catherine had severe symptoms. In August 2019, the state asked the court for a new clinician to assess Catherine, but the result was the same. This clinician believed that Catherine was incompetent to stand trial and was a danger to others. On February 14, 2020, the results of a new evaluation were examined by the court. A clinician noted that Catherine had been treated with 6 antipsychotic drugs. Each drug had been administered individually as well as in combination with other drugs. She had been given the maximum dose she was able to tolerate. Despite this, Catherine's condition did not improve. The clinician indicated that Catherine would probably remain incompetent to stand trial for the foreseeable future. The murder charges against Catherine were dismissed on November 30, 2022, because she had been incompetent to stand trial for over 5 years. In July 2025, as Catherine remained under a civil commitment, she was discharged from the mental health treatment facility. It appears as though she had been transferred to another facility, not released to go home or anything like that. On August 1, 2025, Catherine Hagel was arrested at gunpoint and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. Her transfer motivated the state to pursue these charges again. The state is prepared to argue that Catherine is competent to stand trial. At the time I'm making this video, Catherine has been denied bond and is working her way through the criminal justice system. Now moving to my analysis. There is little doubt that Catherine suffers from severe mental health symptoms. She has been diagnosed with schizophrenia, major depressive disorder, and generalized anxiety disorder. She has impaired judgment, poor insight, disorganized thinking, and is paranoid. Her attorney has argued that nothing has changed with Catherine's condition. She remains under civil commitment. If this is true, it seems odd for the state to once again pursue the murder charges. There will be another fight over competency, and it seems likely that Catherine will be found incompetent to stand trial. She has a long history of receiving that result. Even if Catherine somehow did go to trial, she would have a fair chance of being found not criminally responsible, or NCR. This is Maryland's equivalent of not guilty by reason of insanity. In order to receive an NCR finding, the defendant needs to prove that they did not understand the criminality of their conduct, or they were unable to conform their conduct to the requirements of the law. The standard of proof is a preponderance of the evidence. So the burden is on the defendant, not the state, and the standard is much lower than beyond a reasonable doubt. There is little doubt that Catherine actually perpetrated the murders, regardless of whether she has ever tried or convicted. There are many reasons to believe this. Sarah and Jacob disappeared while under her care. Catherine was evasive and provided inaccurate information about Patient, when she went to her mental health treatment appointment, she told someone she had just strangled her kids, only to then say she was just joking. Catherine fled from the Chick-fil-A restaurant when she and Troy were on the way to the police station, and she drew a sketch of a minivan and 3 children being thrown away. There was a box on the sketch that contained the term WWE vaccine. Was this a reference to World Wrestling Entertainment? There's no way to know. The vaccines are prominently featured in many delusions. So that part kind of fits with psychosis. Some people believe that Catherine intended to kill her son Clint as well, which is why she showed up at the bus stop. Troy disrupted her plans by being there. Catherine spent many years in a mental health treatment facility. She was asked many times about the location of her children, but she always dodged the question. One time when Randy asked her, she stated, "You're fine. I promise you they're alive. I can't talk about that where I am." Catherine told Troy and Lindsay that she wanted to lead the police to the children. She never did. I'm pretty sure the prosecution recognizes that Catherine is severely mentally ill, but their argument for her guilt is not based on an absence of symptoms. Rather, they believe that Catherine is exaggerating her symptoms, like she is making them seem worse than they really are, in order to retain her status as incompetent.
Mothers are often seen.
Ben Horn.
Well, after you guys broke up, right after our interview, you went on social media and said there's been a very big lie.
There it is. Open up the windows for them. Hey, amigo! You okay there? What the hell? So we can see your eyes? Don't make no mistake. When you know that first, when you judge them. Don't have the answer. You're the local guy. We know every one of you. All right. We do what we want with.
Classic ACs are overrated. This is a comment I've seen a lot, and as much as it triggers me deep down, after all these years, were they really as amazing as we remember? Or are we genuinely blinded by nostalgia? So I decided to find out by revisiting the classics both you and I love most. And yeah, it was pretty interesting to say the least. So this is where it all started for a lot of us. Assassin's Creed 2 wasn't just a sequel, it was a total game changer. It took the simple formula of the first game and it built a masterpiece right on top of it. I remember being
What would my children's life and my family's be like right now if my soul hadn't stayed in my body?
Your soul hadn't stayed in your body? Talking about soul, bitch.
What's up, y'all? It's
time in this video today, we're going to be going over ranking our top 10 as shooting guards right now in NBA 2K25-19. Now, I'm going to start off this video by saying, look, right now, am I playing a ton of my team? No. And I still am not going to rank GOAT cards. I'm still not going to rank invincible cards. Why? Because those cards are still super expensive. And I cannot, call those cards quote-unquote attainable. I don't think those cards are still to this day attainable in the game. So I'm not going to be ranking them. So it is what it is. It's kind of the list we got. Hopefully you guys don't hate me too much because, again, I'm just trying to give you guys the best list I can. At number 10, we got Sean Marion. Look, you can get Sean Marion super easy. Was not a super difficult card to get. And at the end of the day, he can play. Do I think Sean Marion's perfect? No. But he is going to be a card that can play and compete. And at the end of the day, I think that's all you need on this game. If you get a card that can play and compete, what else do you need? I mean, he's going to knock down shots. He's got Pro 2. He's going to do a lot of those things for you guys. And honestly, if he does those things for you, what else could you ask for? That's genuinely my question. I don't think a whole ton. And so that's where I'm at with things for Sean Marion is, you know what, if he does all those things for me, I don't know how much I can hate on the card coming in here at number 10. At my number 9, we are going to plug in Richard Jefferson. Now, when Richard Jefferson and Cedric Maxwell came out at the exact same time, I honestly thought that Richard Jefferson would be the better card. Now, obviously, that is not the case. He is not as good, in my opinion, as Cedric Maxwell. But that doesn't mean Richard Jefferson's bad. It doesn't mean Richard Jefferson can't play because he can play at a really, really, really high level. And I feel like I'm personally one of those guys that maybe should have given Richard Jefferson more of an opportunity to, play and compete when the card first came out. I really didn't. Do I really recommend him? I think Richard Jefferson is a really solid card on this game. Coming in here at number 9, if you've got the card, he obviously can still play. At my number 8, I'm plugging in Delano Rice at that number 8. Look, as far as your catch and shoot jobs, you got a really, really fast catch and shoot jack. You're going to like what you're getting out of Delano Rice. Especially let it play be a really solid option at that shooting guard position. I wish Glenn Rice had a better leaner because I feel like his leaner is pretty mediocre. But overall, I think Glenn Rice is a really solid option at number 8. And I feel like a lot of people really do like what Glenn Rice can give you guys on the floor. I feel like a lot of people that use Glenn Rice really do like and appreciate cards. And if you have it here at number 8. At my number 7 is Cedric Maxwell. Now, I went back and forth. Do I want to put Cedric Maxwell higher, or is this the right spot? And I have gained some consensus that I think this is the right spot for Cedric Maxwell. Look, he's going to knock down shots. He's going to play great defense. There's just not many flaws that I see when it comes down to Cedric Maxwell. I think he knocks down shots. He's got approach. He's got 55 moving cross. He's got, everything you can ask a good player on a player. But to me, he is a complete card on this game. If you're hating on Cedric Maxwell at this stage, I'm sorry, you don't know ball. That's simple. Like, Cedric Maxwell can do so many positive things for you guys that if you're hating on him at this stage, I just don't think you know much about him, much more. So that's why I'm at with Cedric Maxwell. I think the card is an absolute stud, an absolute beast. And if you don't, I don't know what to tell you. At my number 6 here, we're putting in the 100 overall Larry Bird. Some people swear by Larry Bird. I'm not that high on Larry. I do think the card's good. I think the card can play. But I think number 6 is a pretty solid spot. I think if you have Larry Bird any higher, it's just kind of a tough position to put Larry Bird in. The card's fine. The card can play. But to me, I don't even know if he's better than Cedric Maxwell. I have him higher. A lot of that being because Larry Bird is going to be really taller. But genuinely, between him and Cedric Maxwell, I don't know. He could go either way on him, to be completely honest with you guys. At my number 5, we're plugging in Mr. Paul George. Now, I know he was your level 4 your work. He's kind of split, right? Some people love Paul George, some people really don't like Paul George. So it really just comes down to where you're at with Paul George personally. But I think it's tough to hate a ton on Paul George as far as an overall card. What he gives you, as far as catch shoot ability, what he gives you as far as his limited play defense. The overall Paul George card is really, really, really solid. And again, there are some things, especially when it comes down to those things that Paul George is not going to be perfect with. But as far as an overall card, I think it's really tough to hate on him as far as just giving you guys a lot of that shooting position. Now, whether you got this Paul George, the other Paul George, it doesn't matter. The cards are at exactly the same. They didn't change the Paul Georges whatsoever. Then again, if you've got Paul George, he's a really solid option. Now, again, I didn't bring invincible for no card. We're plugging in 100 overall Tracy McGrady in here at my number 4. Look, if you are thinking of that shooting guard position, Tracy McGrady is a really solid option for you guys. I'm telling you right now, T-Mac can play at a really, really, really high level. And to me, starts with his release being nearly impossible to contest. You can't contest the release and, very well on a consistent basis. That is one of the main things that T-Mac has going for him. You provide that with the fact that he shot a good
Invincible Paul George, NBA 2K25.
I think the card, as far as an overall shooting guard on the game, is one of your better options. Especially if you guys are free out of a locker code, something like that, you're going to really like T-Mac. At my number 3, plugging in Invincible Rudy. Invincible Rudy G is incredible, guys. I mean, at that small forward shooting guard position, I really grown to appreciate him. When he came out first, I used the catch shoot release. I'm like, you know what? I really don't like it. But as time went on, I've grown to appreciate, the catch shoot release might not be the quickest, but guess what? It's relatively easy time, easy to read. He's 6'8" with a good player by player ability. He's got Pro 2, which is incredible as well. I think the pros of Rudy outweigh the cons, and for that reason, he's in here at my number 3 as one of my favorite shooting guards. My number 2, you guys can hate on me as much as you want, it's invincible Carmelo Anthony. But at the end of the day, as much as you guys may want to hate on me, I truly do not care. Like, I'm sorry, but I truly do not care because at the end of the day, he's good for me. So, like, again, I know there are going to be certain things that you guys are like, really, Ty? Like, how are you, so high on him? How are you gassing him? But at the end of the day, I'm really good with Carmelo Anthony. And anybody that, watches me or knows what I get into knows I'm good with Melo. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out. I knock out shots with him. I play good defense with him. Am I really good at dribbling in general? No. So he works for me. Again, I'm not a good dribbler, so guess what? Carmelo Anthony works for me. To me, again, it's not about what Melo can't do, it's about what Melo can do. And I literally don't miss his card. He is, in my opinion, one of my best shooting guards in the game. Coming in at number 1 is Dr. J. I mean, if you've grinded for Dr. J or got the free Dr. J, the card is really, really, really solid. He's gonna knock out shots. He's gonna play good defense. He's moving from his part of dribbling. Like, there's just not a whole lot of things that I think you can really hate on when it comes down to Dr. J. I think the card is really, really, really solid. And just, just as far as an overall shooting guard in this game, complete. Last 6'7", he's gonna play defense. He's gonna knock down shots. He's just gonna be a solid option for you guys. And at the end of the day, that's all you can really ask for, right? You can't ask for a card that's gonna, be the peak, much better than he is. And that's really what I want at my shooting guard position. A guy like Dr. J. Right? I can't move it. Can create his own shots. Can play solid defense. He isn't really, okay. Obviously, if you get a point guard Dr. J, he's really solid as well. So these are my top 10 attainable shooting guards in the game. No goats, no invincibles unless they're free. It is what it is. What I got for you guys. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe if you guys want to add. That was good. Guys, have a blessed day. What's up, y'all? It's Ty in this video today. We're going to be going over talking about our top 10 attainable small forward in NBA 2K25 19. Now, I want to start off this video by talking about what is the meaning of attainable, right? Because a lot of people might be wondering, I got this guy, is he attainable, is he not attainable? I think it's a tough, real question. I basically included the free invincibles and other than that, 100 overalls or below. Because right now, gold cards are insanely expensive. And you guys got to know and realize, like, if I were to do this and include every card, guess what? It would be Tim Duncan, it would be Dirk, it would be invincible Giannis, it would be 100 overall Giannis, it would be Anthony Davis, and then that leaves, what, room for 1 or 2 more guys? I mean, it's not realistic. Mobley would obviously be on there. But it's just, it makes it difficult to get any of the budget guys. So, you want to rank those top guys? Obviously, I mentioned a lot of them. There you guys go. We're going to start off at number 10 with Josh Smith. I really like 100 overall Josh Smith. I think the card's incredibly good. He's got a good release. He's got pro too. He's going to play good defense. There is a lot of things that Josh Smith does have going for him. And for me, it's one of the things that I really like about Josh Smith is the fact that, there are really no flaws. He's going to knock down shots. He's going to play good defense. He's 6'9" defensively. He's going to be really solid. And that's the thing for me with Josh Smith. It's just, there's no real flaws. And I love small forwards that can kind of do it all. Play good defense, knock down shots. And Josh Smith can do a little bit of everything. So if you're wanting to see the 8 on the card, it's not going to be Josh Smith because I love the dark matter Josh Smith. And 100 overall Josh Smith is even slightly better. Danny Manning, 1 step ahead of Josh Smith. Same for Danny Manning. He's going to be 6'10", whereas Josh Smith only is 6'9". Is that the end of the world? No, but it does make a difference. It is something that obviously does matter. And I have Danny Manning just slightly higher. If 4 cards are good, I think Danny Manning is relatively attainable for you guys. And again, for me, it's one of those things that he is just an all-around small forward. He's eerily similar to my number 1 on this list. Who will lead to eventually? It's just one of those things. If you're 6'10", you're already going to have an advantage over a guy that is 6'9". At the number 8, 1 step higher is Thurl Bailey. Again, 6'11" Thurl Bailey compared to 6'10" and 6'9" Josh Smith. Thing for me is that everybody ever used Thurl Bailey. And it's not a one-size-fits-all, but I do think Thurl Bailey does have enough on the floor to be in there at number 8. Again, size, he got knocked out the park. Obviously, has 100 overall. All these cards can have basically the same stats, basically the same value. It just comes down to preference based, and I do think Thurl Bailey has it in.
Psycho fucking bitches.
Hey, I'm going to watch 27 minutes in NBA 2K, so
Restaurants where the vibe is better than the food need to be fined, shut down, or they at least have to post a disclaimer in the window.
100% agree.
I'm saying
You don't build for the vibe.
We don't want the vibe. One guy wants to bar, joins the club. I'm not going to the club. It's someone joins the club.
That's what vibes are for.
Yeah, I'm here for food because I tell you, you can't eat the vibe.
Any restaurant where the vibe is first and the food is second shouldn't be a restaurant.
Shouldn't
It
be
should be a vibe center.
Yeah, and call it that. Because I'm telling you, like a sign on the wall that just says, hey, before you step inside, you should know our wall is grass, the food is ass. Or the wall is grass, the food will be trash.
It's like a B rating.
Yes,
Like a restaurant, but it's like the vibe is an A, but the food is a B.
Yes, and good. And so people know in advance. I'm tired of people inviting me to restaurants where it's like, the vibe is beautiful in here, and the chef did this and that, and I don't care, I want to eat the food, I want to eat seasoned food.
Let's go in 3, 2, 1, go.
Like I said, we ain't nobody got the Germany anthem.
And your husband, is he well?
He's good.
Like I said, we ain't nobody's idea of charity. Get us the money.
And your husband, is he well?
He's dead.
Like I said, we ain't nobody's idea of charity. Get us the money.
And your husband, is he well?
He's dead.
July 28, 2024, a deputy responded to a home in Bruno, Florida, after a neighbor found a 3-year-old girl alone in a pool. The child was pulled from the water, but no parents could be found. After 20 minutes of knocking, calling, and shouting, the neighbor called police. Let's find out what happened.
Yes, and this is my husband, Ray. He's on the porch with the child. The mother's laying in front of her. With that pool out there, she was in that by herself. I would have asked her mother, probably knocked on the door. The door was already open. Hollered for them. My husband hollered for them, and nobody has come out yet. So, she was in that pool by herself, and we didn't want to see her around. I know of friends that their children have drowned from them just so that.
She didn't have like any full gear on her.
She's totally by herself, longing them to sleep or something.
Okay.
I don't know what they're doing.
Okay. Alright. And this was how long ago?
This has been 20 minutes.
20 minutes since, and no one has
Okay. People were sitting out there too, so we didn't want to call, but I called Dave. I said, look, she's in the pool with water in it. It takes a split second for a child to drown. And I said, because we did knock on the door, gave her an opportunity to come to the door, and then we yelled at them inside the door and nobody still came. I said, to me, that's a red flag, and we're obligated for that child to call.
Yeah, that's definitely
There's no more feelings with us or anything.
Yeah, I mean,
The child called.
look how small they are. I mean, the child can probably freeze
I
in the
have
water.
grandchildren, and that is right.
Yeah, alright. Give me a second, I'm gonna go. The child's safe with you guys. The child's fine. Does the child show any symptoms or anything wrong or anything like that?
Absolutely not.
Alright. So what's going on today?
I was literally just sleeping.
Yeah. Did you guys have like a long night? Yeah. It is 6 o'clock. Alright, so the neighbor over there, I found her in this pool. This little baby pool. And she opened your door and she said she was hollering for you guys. And so where's the child usually at? Or where do you guys sleep? In your rooms off.
You bitch.
so originally this was going to be a very funny video being like, oh my gosh, Jane Daniels sleeping with his mother? Ooh, I don't know, but I lost my wallet yesterday, and ever since then, things have been less and less funny. Okay, so it's going to be a very serious video on whether or not
Stick with his mother.
So if you typically come here for laughs, I'm so sorry, you might want to do another day. Okay, but anyways, is Jaden Daniels sleeping with his mom? I don't know. Okay, that's scary. That's a scary answer. If you were to ask me like someone random, like Carl Anthony Towns, is he sleeping with his mom? I'd say probably not. Wait, is his mom?
That's crazy.
But if you were to ask me about almost anybody else, I'd like, that's probably not. You know what I mean? But with him, the answer is, I don't know. With Jaden Daniels, I legitimately feel like I don't know. I'm gonna show why in a second. Okay, but look, if I were to have to bet money on whether or not he was involved with his mom romantically, depending on the amount, if I had to bet my life on it, I would bet that he didn't, just because it's a rare concept, but I'd be very nervous about it. However, throw down a band on an option, I would throw down a band on him having relations with his mother. And mind you, this is not coming from any sort of like inside details, like, you know, like sometimes I know things, this is a situation where I legitimately do not know. This is pure speculation, but I'm one of the best speculators in the game, so oh yeah, people are very mad that I'm just taking. Here's the thing, I could have made this video if people didn't get so angry about it, because I don't know, like when people get really upset about something I say, like I have to double down. Like genuinely, the concept is just more hilarious than anything, but I feel like there's a lot of people where they only know, I don't know, microcosm of the context, so they don't really know why people are saying things. Okay, so let me get little on you. This video went viral on X, on Twitter, and basically this is him taking his mom shopping at Neiman Marcus. You know, very, very nice mother-son thing. Now look, this concept by itself, is there anything that would lead me to believe that? Not quite. However, I fear this is not the only context of those two being around each other. Like, I need you to look at this stuff, okay? This is Jane Daniels and his mom are inseparable. Regina's best friend, oh yeah, she's his best friend, agent money manager, and Money's mother, with a special relationship with Lizzo. Look, he's getting interviewed, and like she's like just like popping up, right? And this was me, August 3rd. Nobody liked it though. I like it. I like it myself. Be your own biggest fan. She needs to leave that nigga alone. I said it off the rip. I already knew. But let's keep going, okay? This is Jaden Daniels. He talked to, I think this is Juju Watkins, Hooper, like very good Hooper. Like, you know, he might be spitting game, might not be spitting game. But look what happens, bro. Look, they're down here. Whoops, so sorry. They're out here having like a good time. You know, they're living their life. I'm waiting for it to transition to sitting in between them now. And mind you, this isn't some random woman that's a danger, bro. She's a Hooper herself. She's a professional. See, you see what I'm saying, bro? And then look at this right here. Talking to a young lady out here. She's in the car, bro. Eyeing him, spitting some game. Like, right, he can't even go to the functions by himself, which he's been by himself before. Like, there's definitely places, he's had to have been in places where his mom isn't. But, like, look at how much of this was him, okay? Here she is, you know, she's at the team event, which, again, wouldn't be notable if stuff like this wasn't happening. You know what I'm saying? See, look, Jane Daniels again, you met Magic Johnson, bro, and she's just there. Like, she's there, you know what I mean? And then right here, bro, she's hugging his teammate, bro. Which, again, would it be so weird if it wasn't for her being everywhere? Look, NFL star Jane Daniels' mother says girls are, says girls are mostly what concerns her about her son. Okay, you hear me? Like, do you see how most of this stuff, like with the exception of her, like sitting between him and that young lady, and her eyeing him talking to that young lady, most of this stuff is relatively normal. But it's the fact that it's all happening at the same time, okay? And so, look, bro, he's at the function, jugging, getting down. And his mom is in front. She's right there. She's always there, bro. I don't remember why I saved this one in particular, but like, look, they're together once more, okay? And then scrolling up, wait, there's got to be more mom stuff right here. I know for a fact it is, okay? Hey, hold up. You know, you were very honest about, and this is her initially when she, I don't know, I guess initially when she became an agent. Obviously, I don't know all the lore. But you see what I'm talking about? She's always there, the way like an attention-seeking girlfriend. And look, again, when I'm spreading the agenda, it's because I think it's hilarious. Like, I think the concept of like, oh my gosh, that he might be involved with his mother, and it's funny. I think it's funny when there are things that actually will lead you down that train of thought, right? But what makes it even funnier over time, and why I push the agenda, is because I'm slowly starting to believe it more and more. More things that I see. Like, you see, again, that initial video where, like, he's taking her shopping, whatever, is like a normal thing, okay? Like, oh, he's being nice to his mom. Oh, so sweet, right? But then once you see all of this stuff stacked up next to each other, that's, at the very least, it's not a normal relationship that we see between mother and son. And that right there is what I need to see. Okay, because when you say something weird about this, they're like, oh, you guys just don't love your mothers, you don't have moms that love you. This is not a normal mother-son relationship. And it's okay to acknowledge that. Now, look, does that mean inherently there's something romantic going on between them? No, but it's okay to acknowledge that most mothers and sons, regardless of how high the quality their relationship is, aren't this close. Look right here. Okay, someone says it's crazy how demented this app is. If people in the post genuinely thinking there's something going on because the son spoils his mom. Like, again, right here, I think they might not know the full context of the situation. Like, I feel like this might not be someone who's too familiar or even has a past. I feel like I only have a passing knowledge of what I've seen about him and his mom. Which again, mind you, I like Jamie Daniels as a quarterback. I wanted him to win the Super Bowl last year. He started like going on that crazy run. This is not Jamie Daniels like slander or hate or anything of the sort. I just think, you know. Oh yeah, sorry, but yeah, my comment right here, good having sex. And then, oh, how gross is what porn does in mine. People are saying that's like a porn addict take to make. And I feel like the whole like, oh my gosh, you're addicted to porn is just been like a cut thing when it comes to very clearly different relationship dynamics between familial partners. Yeah, is that the word? Like this take truly has nothing to do with adult videos. You know, I'm not saying like, oh my gosh, look at the chemistry between them. Look how they look how they hug each other and look at each other. Not at all what I'm saying. I'm saying she's always there. It's like, again, she's playing the role of the attention-seeking girlfriend as his mother. That's where it's coming from. And when I say something like they're having sex, I don't mean like I'm picturing them having sex, like he's just clapping her cheeks, he's just going to town on it. I just mean like conceptually they're having sex. Oh yeah, and also he's a millionaire, and let's hope he doesn't like. I don't think he would, but like just for the record, to cover my ass, I'm joking here. Okay, I don't think they're having relations, but like, you know what I mean? Okay, I believe these are the reactions. And so, does your mother know you're projecting your sexual fantasies about her onto other people? And I said, if I wanted to have sex with my mother, I would. However, I do not. So I don't think you get this between me and Jay. Bro, I found out you could make like these emojis, and I've just been using them about like, oh yeah, I forgot. Not supposed to smile this video. I lost my wallet. But it's about it. What the fuck? I'm even coming for people's like livelihood. Like I think I've gotten to a point in like content creation, and just like my life, where it's like people like say things, and I'm like, what? Like I know for a fact, like you've never done anything. You know what I mean? And not even in like a mean way. Like she's like, you're really like talking to me right now. Like me of all people, especially. I think it's so weird. Like these conversations in particular, and this is just like a minor little thing. But I think it's so weird when, like, if I were to be doing nothing with my life, obviously I would not get comments like this, which is so weird to me. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it should be the other way around. Like, how come it's like when you're good at something, it's like, oh, like, stick to this. You know, like, you're telling me to shut up and dribble. Like, what are we doing? Actually, you know what I think it is about these that bother me? It's like the implication that they, like, have control over my life. Like, someone, like, trying to tell me what to do. You know what I mean? Like, it's like the main idea of doing what I do is me doing what I want. So when someone's like, hey, do this, it's kind of like, I'm like, bro, what? I mean, like, I think it should be the other way around. Like, how come it's like, you're good at something? I think it's like, oh, like, stick to this. You know, like you're telling me to shut up and dribble. Like, what are you doing? Actually, you know what I think it is about these that bother me? It's like the implication that they like have control over my life. Like someone like trying to tell me what to do. You know what I mean? Like it's like the main idea of doing what I do is me doing what I want. So when someone's like, hey, do this, it kind of like, I'm like, bro, what? Like it's like the kind of comments, like, bro, I'm never gonna lie to you about like comments that like hits me. This is like one of the ones that jostle me. Because I'm like, bro, like, what are you talking about? This, I mean, I told you like a while back. Like I'm like, there's so many comments that people make towards me that like they think are doing something, but it's really the ones that you would think like just like roll off my back that actually bother me. Obviously, I'm not like crying over anything, but I just mean like most comments usually like, hold up, where is? Oh yeah, no, this person we're gonna see they said some like very funny things. Like usually things are like kind of like funny to me, so it's like a game. This right here, bro, like it genuinely like irritates me. It's not like I showed you this. It gets really funny, bro. That it called me an ugly monkey. Like literally, they went full racist on me on a lot of myself, and then they okay, because here's the thing. And this is something I need you to take a walk. I said he sleeps with his mom, right? I feel like the people who get this defensive, and now like again he's getting racist. I think it's because like they want something going on. Like I feel like it's like they hear like the oh he's sleeping with his mom, and it just activates something in them. Either that's like what they do or that's what they want. You know what I mean? Because the thing is, like there are definitely people who don't think he's sleeping with his mom who see what I say and they're like, bro, that's not true. But like they kind of just like move on with their day. But anyways, what is the change? She called me. I don't even know if I can say this on here. But I said I'm not the one in the comments defending a mom effort. Like bro, I feel so bad for. They're making it worse for her. Here's the thing. If I made the Jake Daniels sleeps with his mom comments, okay, I forgot I can't stop. If I made the Jake Daniels sleeps with his mom comments, and I just like called it a day, and they just called it a day, it'd be whatever. I would still need to push the narrative. But the fact that there are people who react to it like this, I'm like, oh yeah. I was like, I'm on to something. I got to keep it going. Because I said the only moms that fuck are the ones that aren't my own. And that means yours. something here. Oh my gosh, yes, this one right here. I have some good ones right here. Lord forbid a man love his mother. I said you can love your mom without having relations with her. And down, so you never buy anything for your mother, treating your mom like she's a hug, trade this or grown age. Okay, this comment genuinely annoyed me. I'll tell you why. Okay, so you never buy things for your mother. It's very much simplifying why me and Jake Daniels might be sleeping with mom. You feel this way about Jake Daniels. Like I explained before, it is not just that. And also treating your mom like she's a hoe at your grown age. How is me not buying my mom things treating her like a hoe? Like if anything, isn't an NFL player taking his mom shopping more of like a treating her like a hoe thing? But notice that response, too many words, right? And I'm like, I'm not gonna buy this dude an essay. I'm just gonna like say. So bro, I remember I had like free will on the internet. I said, you know what? Maybe I should have sex with your ugly ass fake pussy having mother, and maybe you'll get the picture while my dick is knocking her fucking lungs off the roof, Sebastian. Maybe then it will all click for you, Sebastian. Disingenuous son of a bitch. For the record, if you see me tweet something like this, I need you to know that I'm not mad. I just don't want to engage in the conversation in good faith. Like I said, because if I was engaging with this in good faith, it would take me forever. But I find this to be like literally hilarious. Some of my best friends, right here. I don't know who that man is, but this is hilarious. That's what I'm saying. Like people need to just find the humor in the statement rather than getting so defensive about it. Because again, the more defensive people get about something, the more I'm like, okay, well, there's something there. I don't know. There's something about making a statement and then everyone getting mad about it, where I'm like, oh, okay, so there's some truth there. Okay, and then when doing goes too far, when my videos are freaking him out video, but that's someone called it fake, bro. It's like, look, this is a mild joke, right? It's like a half joke. Yeah, but like fake. Oh yeah, by the way, apparently Context is a Mother's Day ad, but like I don't know, I feel a little way after that. But you know what I mean? Like people getting so mad about it, it's not that deep. Like you're not Jane Daniels. But mind you, again, I like it. This is not me hating on Jane Daniels. Like that doesn't make him any worse of a football player. He's still the franchise quarterback for the Washington Commanders. Yeah, and again, I'm rooting for him as a football player. This is no hate whatsoever. Okay, but it's just like if you're gonna ask me, is Jane Daniels sleeping with his mom? My answer is gonna be, I don't know. Because I feel like I legitimately don't know. And again, I would like to make more jokes here, but I'm very upset because I cannot find my wallet. And I need that. Okay, anyways, yeah, I can't even talk. I can't give you a state of affairs right now because I'm so upset about my wallet. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. I think I'm so sorry. Hold up. Okay, I just want to really hammer home the point. Is it not crazy, like for anybody, that I am not confident in the fact that he's not sleeping with his mother? That's what I'm not. So I feel like that's what people need to pay attention to. Like, yes, like people are going the opposite direction, being like, oh yeah, he's definitely sleeping with her. I think it says a lot that people even aren't 100% confident that. Again, given the dynamic, given her always being around. Okay, but that doesn't mean anything. Okay, we don't know. It's just I'm talking about based off what we see right here.
My team, the We Ain't Spinning No Bread, episode 10, and we back at you, man. Now, if y'all didn't put in this rocket code to get a free Invincible player, do it right now. They gave me this Jason Tatum card, and look, I can't be mad at it. This is what my collection looking like so far, bro. And I say this every episode, man. We came such a long way. Now, today's episode gonna be mad chill, man. 2K25 is extremely dead. 26 right around the corner. I ain't even excited for it. Dog, the game look exactly like 2K21. If you put 21 by this shit, but it looks like what? Like, how hard is it for them to get the 2K14 lighting? Like, we're on next-gen hardware consoles, man. 2K, y'all are a poverty franchise. I hope y'all watching this shit. I'm gonna play like 1 to 2 showdown games, and then I'm headed to the Triple Threat Park. I'm gonna try to make this video a little longer for y'all, since I don't give these to y'all as often. No more talking, though, man. Let's get into it. Alright, y'all. Game number 1. Let's see what Brody Squad looking like. Damn. Oh, this man has my dream team, Invincible Victor, bro. He got 80 wins. Alright, we got lock in. We got to lock in. This is gonna be a game. Man has my dream team, Invincible Victor, bro. He got 80 wins. Alright, we got lock in. We got to lock in. This is gonna be a game. Oh, bro, look at this shit, bro. This man dropped hell amounts of bread. Copious amounts of bread. Oh, yo. He jumped. That's in there. Dive down. Get over there. Oh, big bomber. And when you can have that mid, it's a mid-range. How you left him open, Tatum?
Here's Anthony. Got a minute 48 left to play in the first quarter.
Leave it there. Thanks for
Okay, so a lot of racism stuff has been happening this week, okay? I don't know what's in the water, but these past few days, a lot of stuff's been happening, okay? Like a good opportunity to make a quick video, okay? So let me delve into some of this stuff. So anyways, let me get a little on you, alright? And I'm basically going to give you the rub, alright? There are three separate things I'm going to talk about today. The thing I'm going to talk about the most, the things I want to talk about Kenny from Love Island more, but I feel like I'm probably going to end up talking about Sydney Sweeney more. So yeah, Sydney Sweeney has great genes, allegedly. For one, something we should talk about is Sydney Sweeney right here trying to steal my style. Okay, so I just Googled myself, and then I clicked on famous birthdays. I'm the 50,953rd most famous person in the world. We gotta get those numbers up, okay? I gotta grind. Like, bro, I gotta do something. At least let me get top 20 Bryces, bro. I'm already number one in Stella. I'm so glad, but like, let me get top 20 Bryce. Okay, let me look. Okay, I promise I'm gonna get to it. Okay, but let me look at the Bryce competition. Okay, Hall, James. Okay, I don't see these people. I don't really know. Harper, Dallas Howard. Okay, Bryce Young. Bro, y'all can so get me into the top 20. Anyways, y'all see this right here? See this outfit? Dallas Howard, okay. Bryce Young. Bro, y'all can so get me into the top 20. Anyways, y'all see this right here? See this outfit? You see this outfit? She wants to be me so desperately bad. Okay, but anyway, yeah, people are saying this is racist. Now, look, I'm not going to show you the ad because I'm not 100% familiar with the copyright situation. However, what I will say is she was like, traits are passed down to offspring from one generation to another, impacting things like hair color, eye color, and she said, between that, she said something about personality. I'm telling you, Brett, it was a BS ad. You don't want to see it. It made me very uncomfortable just because she was trying to be like sexually attractive, and I feel like since I'm not a white teenager, I don't really get it, so it just kind of like made me feel weird. But anyway, she was going through all like the jean stuff, and she was like, "My jeans are blue," and then she was wearing the jeans, and it was Sydney Sweeney has great jeans. Wearing the jeans, and talk about her genetics. Yeah, that's the thing. People are saying this is racist. So people are saying since she's blonde with blue eyes, not even natural blonde by the way, that this is eugenics and I wish I could take this seriously. They're saying it's a eugenics act. They're saying it's a dog whistle. They're talking about a lot of buzzwords. Okay, we'll talk about it. All right, so the definition of eugenics, basically, it's selective breeding in order to promote, like, superior genes, quote unquote. These can go from, like,
So what's your take?
Every transplant should have to volunteer somewhere.
100% agree. I like that.
Everyone should volunteer, but transplants need down roots. They need to get to know their community.
Are you a transplant?
Yeah.
And you volunteer?
Yes. I volunteer for Big Brother Fiction School.
Me too. I've been it for like the first 5 years I've been doing it.
Isn't it so fun to be a bitch?
Yes.
We actually need a lot of
I think that this is great because transplants have a bad reputation.
Right. We need to clean up our reputation.
I feel like I'm taking so much. I'd like to give some back.
That's what I'm saying. Is that it's like, okay, you moved to New York. You think New York is the best city in the world. Name one thing you've ever done to make it that way.
Except for pay taxes.
Except for pay taxes. But if the only thing you're contributing is your taxes, you are ultimately a loser. You are.
I agree.
Be part of your community.
That's very
Give
good.
something back.
Preach.
I think that the more transplant activities you participate in, the more you have to volunteer. So, like, for example, the Brooklyn Mirage, if you have ever gone there, that's 3 hours. If you have had an Aperol Spritz on St. Mark's, that's 10 hours.
That's more than 10 hours.
If you have ever waited in line for the latest viral TikTok pastry, that is 20 hours. If you have ever made the TikTok that made that the viral pastry, you might be kicked out of the city.
500 hours. It should be volunteer based. And if you don't do it within 3 years, you get conscripted.
Exactly. I think it's just good for our reputation And I think it's good to get involved in the city.
It's good for the city.
Get out of your bubble.
Yeah, get out of your little Williamsburg, East Village, Greenpoint vibe.
There's so many things to do, too.
Yeah, find something that you feel passionate about.
Right.
If you're a musician, teach kids music.
Exactly.
If you're an actor, teach kids acting. It doesn't have to be kids.
It could be dogs, it could be old people.
This is maybe the only good subway take.
Holy, I did it.
It might be the only subway take that happens. Literally.
This is like,
It's a great idea.
this is incredible. I can't believe I won the game.
You won the game.
No one knew that it was a competition.
This is the last episode of the show. What am I going to do now?
Volunteer.
Yeah, maybe I'll give my life to service.
Yeah.
Like Gandhi.
I'm always thinking of you like Gandhi.
Sick. So what's your take?
Every transplant should have to volunteer somewhere.
100% agree. I like that.
Everyone should volunteer, but transplants need.
One word. You can only use one word to answer all these questions I'm about to ask you. What are the reasons that men cheat?
You said I need one word for it?
Yes, you have to answer with one word.
The reason men cheat is insecure.
Okay, that's what you would say? Insecurity. Okay.
Yeah,
I would say ego. Because I feel like a lot of men operate out their ego. Meaning, for instance, a man feels like they're in a relationship with a woman and the woman is kind of like not making him feel like his ego is stroked, like he's the one. And he sometimes has to rest around and be like, okay, I'm going to go be with this motherfucker because she's going to pump me up. She's going to hear all my stories and laugh. She's going to make me feel like I'm a king. She don't know all my extra baggage. And she's going to be fucking with me.
All right, I'm going to change my word.
What is it?
Availability.
So it's based off of a woman is available and accessible to you?
When she's unavailable,
The other one is available.
there we go.
That's crazy to me, though.
Bitch, you're crazy to me.
In 2008, the top donor for Obama campaign was the banker. And then lo and behold, he does a giant.
You only get this from exposure. You only get this from exposure.
In this video, I'm going to be discussing. Yo, what is good, YouTube? Welcome back to another JC2K video. In today's video, we're ranking the top 10 attainable-ish shooting guards in the NBA 2K25 mods. When I say the word ish, I mean a couple of these guys might be a little bit too expensive to really truly be considered on an attainable list right now. But within a week, they should be much, much cheaper with Season 9 likely just giving us some donuts and nice packs. And so we will see what happens with that. But a lot of these guys who are at the top of this list are probably going to be a bit cheaper here in about a week. I think it's fair for these guys to list because they're kind of top 10. The last top 10 attainable list of the year. So with that being said, we're going to start. I do want to mention as well, a lot of the cards on this list are not quite as insane as many of the point guard lists. A lot of guys got point guard eligibility in here, and I'm not putting guys point guard eligibility on this list. Now, guys like Tracy McGrady and Scottie Pippen and other really, really good point guard, Joe Namath, point guards and stuff, they can also play shooting guard or super mid shooting guard too. They're just not included on this list. So keep that in mind as I go through ranking. But I mentioned Tracy McGrady, and he is actually our number 10 on this list. Not his GOAT card, though, because again, that was point guard eligible. His Invincible is kind of sort of too expensive still, probably, but likely will be shortly, I would think. 6'8" with a 7'2" wingspan, 99 everything. T-Mac Oscar. Steph Curry isn't ideal. He does have Garland, Francis, Kemba, Trey, Levine. His jumper with Oscar is legitimately good. The only real thing about this cover that I don't like is that Steph Curry, because he became a safety Steph, not a big deal. Debunk's cross really, really good. Hello, I want to say hi, Archie. I've done a video in a while. He has decided to make his appearance to Hello. Look like. I'm sorry. All right. Well, outside of Steph Curry, though, this T-Mac card is awesome. He's 6'8" with 7'2" wingspan, versatile defensively. He's an awesome card still, for sure. Number 9, and call me crazy, I have Paul Millsap at number 9. Is this completely psychotic to have Paul Millsap over Tracy McGrady? I don't know. 6'8" with a 7'1" wingspan. Really good jump shot though, Pro 2. But Garland step size up, not Francis. Luke at Kimba State. That's right on the back of being set back. Does not have Deepak Cross or Francis size up. But I think these jumpers still bench jumper Oscar is really good. That to me is the number one reason that I have one spot up tonight. Also for the phase of plus compared to T-Mac at step. Again, you can go either way with these guys. For me, I'm going to go Millsap at 9, T-Mac at 10. That feels like the right order, at least to me. Although, say Paul Millsap is better than Tracy McGrady on the same tier card, does feel like kind of a weird thing to say, because that would generally be true of my team. Trevor Ariza is going to be our number 8 here, and yes, I do think this card is actually better than both T-Mac and Paul Millsap. 6, 7, 7, 2, 8, same exact size as T-Mac. Obviously has 9 and everything, still pretty much every single Hall of Fame badge, and also has really, really good saves. He's got Garland Francis, Kemba Trade Pro 2 with a really good jump shot as well. I think he's the most complete animation-wise of the group between Millsap, T-Mac, and Ariza. They're very close, and again, I do think you could reorder this however you want, but to me, this is my back half of the top 10, and I think Ariza at number 8 is totally fine. Number 7 is going to be Cedric Maxwell. This card is really, really solid. So 6'8", 7-foot wingspan. Again, he's not 100 overall, but his stats are pretty close to it. And the thing that I love about this card, Garland Francis, Kemba, Deepak, Trey, Levine, Howard, basically besides Kemba instead of Steph, the perfect SIGs, and honestly, I think Kemba escape is really not far away from Steph either. Very good jumper, Pro 2 fade, 6'8", and good player build as well. I mean, again, all these cards are very similar. I like Cedric Maxwell the most. Just my opinion, maybe I'm biased. I like that card all year, though. Again, I think you can use any of them in half success. They're all very, very good cards. My bad. Number 6, Rudy Gay. He is a very, very good option still. 6'8", 7'3" wingspan, 99 everything. Great stats, great bats. I think he's basically Cedric Maxwell, slightly better. Better stats, pretty much the same things with Step Escape. Instead of Kemba, jumper is pretty similar. I'd say speed-wise, not the fastest jumper in the game, very good. Pro 2 fade. I do think Rudy Gay is just a slightly better version of Cedric Maxwell. I can see Archer's table as well. He's decided to make his appearance in this video a couple times. But yeah, Rudy Gay at number 6 feels like the right spot for him. I do think he's a very good card. Number 5, and if you want to argue this card higher, I would give you that. Use Omri Cassidy. This card is legitimately that good. Okay? I'm not exaggerating in the slightest. They say Omri Cassidy is the 5th best sustainable shooting guard. Again, keep in mind guys like Jason Taylor Durant, Luol Deng, Thomas, Jonathan Bender, etc. The no festival cards are really expensive, like Kate KD type shooting guard. Those guys are not on this list, so keep that in mind. But Omri 6'9", 6'9" wingspan, really good jump shot, Pro 2 fade, Garland Francis, Curry, Trey, Levine. So great SIGs at 6'9", with a 6'9" wingspan, a high level jumper. The only cards that is true about are GOAT cards and Omri Cassidy that have Garland Francis, Curry escape, Trey behind the back, Levine drag back. Good jump shots and at least 6'5" shooting guard position. It is GOAT cards and Omri Cassidy. He is an absolute stud. Elite card, and he's good defensively too. The height is valuable. He is an absolute stud high archer. Number 4 is going to be another really, really good card. Carmelo Anthony, the new Melo that came out, was this past week or the week before? I don't even know at this point. It was this past week, but it doesn't feel like it matters that much with these last 2 Fridays. I'll be fair. 6'7" with a 7-foot wingspan, 9'9", everything, every single legend badge. Good jump shot. Garland Francis, Curry, Deepak, Trey, Levine, Howley, Pro 2 fade. Awesome card. Again, he's a GOAT card. He's pretty much perfect. He's going to be an absolute stud. Hopefully, the dog in the background doesn't know. I think most of y'all probably enjoy that, though, I would think. Moving on to the number 3 spot on the list that my computer would like to load is Dr. J. Eventually, we'll actually get to type in a good note. I didn't get to see. Not the point guard eligible one, obviously, and a good same card to be fair. Besides player build, but point guard eligible one on the point guard list. Shooting guard one is on the shooting guard list, as would make sense. 6'7", 6'11" wingspan does not have the height that player build wise that the other Dr. J has, which maybe makes him look a bit shorter on the court. Is it really bad? No, I don't think so. Still has an elite jumper, step base with the best upper in the game. Second step, Pro 2 fade, Garland Francis, Curry, Deepak, Trey, Levine, Howard. Just overall an absolute monster of a card. He is as elite as they come at shooting guard position, and I definitely think he's an incredible card. The only criticism for both him and Carmelo is they're only 6'7" and they don't have absolutely massive player builds. That's about the only real critique that I have. Number 2, kind of the same criticism for Kawhi. Kawhi's better defensively than both of them are, just because 7'3" wingspan, and I mean, I don't know what it is about Kawhi. He's always best defensively, pretty much. Jumper is very good, perfect SIG, Pro 2 fade, but they're all the same card. It's pretty much preference. Dr. J has the best jump shot of the group, in my opinion. Kawhi's best defensively. If you want to put him low, you totally could. I think any of these guys could go in this 2-4 spot, but I think they number 1, to be fair, is pretty clear with Larry Bird, who I do believe is the best semi-affordable shooting guard in my team. 6'9" with a 7'1" wingspan. Patty Mills based Oscar Upper, which is really good. Oh, wait, I thought you had Patty Sexton. Okay, well, I'm still going to put number 1 because he's 6'9" with 7'1" wingspan. SIGs are perfect, Pro 2 fade. I know his jumper isn't absolutely perfect with Patty Mills Oscar, actually, because that jumper can be a little bit inconsistent, but 9 out of every single legend back to 6'9" with 7'1" wingspan. With perfect SIGs and elite jumper, to me, is still probably better than Dr. J. Carmelo and Kawhi, even if the jump shot can be a tiny bit inconsistent. I still think he's number 1, and I do think this is the proper list. Now, with that being said, y'all let me know what y'all thoughts are in the comment section down below. Remember, again, I didn't include Tracy Grace and Scotty, guys like that to play shooting guard position because they play guard, so keep that in mind also. But I hope y'all did enjoy the video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button. Man has always been known as a conqueror of the frontier. In the days of yore, the dawn of time, when it was cold, he conquered fire. Years later, when he tired of traveling on foot, he came the horse. When the sea seemed to be an unstoppable barrier, he traversed it by building ships. And so, much further along in time, he conquered the sky. And eventually, when he tired of the earth, he birthed the stratosphere. Man has always been at the forefront of the frontier. The frontier that's out there. The frontier that is external to himself. Space, the sea, land. Domesticated wild beasts. Discovered minerals,
learning how to use minerals, fuel sources, understanding the world, building things. This is all man does, essentially. It is, as Manuel has said, human doing. Man has evolved in conquering the frontiers external to himself. He's evolved into a human doing. And unfortunately, a human doing that knows little else. For all of man's vaunted power, his might, his ability to conquer the world external to himself, his ability to comprehend things and manipulate the world. I mean, that very force that transformed what probably was just hunter-gatherer society for the longest time into an unstoppable civilizational power we see today. Skyscrapers that reach up to the clouds, supersonic airplanes, bullet trains. Incredible. Man, the male, has transformed the world for the benefit of all, mostly for women. For himself as well, that's more of a residual effect. But all this work, all this action, all the things he's done, the question is, one, for whom has he done it for? And the other question is, what is driving him to do it? Well, I think we could look at evolutionary pressures and understand why the male of the species has been shaped as he has to conquer the frontier, to be at the forefront of the frontier. Whilst women were hiding in huts and cowering behind the fires, men were risking their lives, discovering the world, protecting those women, protecting their genetic investments. These skills were necessary. It was necessary to understand how the world worked, what to do with it, to learn how to manipulate it, even the simplest forms, manipulating fire, creating housing structures. And who knows what's to come in the future? That certainly is the nature of man. But isn't it a nature that's become readily obvious to us? It's a nature that we, in the so-called manosphere, have become all too acquainted with. That is the nature of man. He is a human doing. He defines himself as such, and he knows nothing else. And without that doing, what is he? An empty vessel? Perhaps, perhaps not. It's not really a question many men have struggled with. Not in a singular fashion, not en masse. Most men don't know about the frontier within themselves. They only know the frontier external to themselves. Oftentimes, you'll hear men now chastised and chided for turning their backs on society, running away, being unproductive. Oh, the obviously productive members of society don't exist. What does that even mean? Have you ever given it thought? What it means, unfortunately, is the same thing that men only know. The only thing that men know, they're doing. Everything we do, every work we've brought, that is our definition. That is our identity. The problem is, an object external to yourself, whether it be an abstract object or a solid object in the form of an apartment building or a skyscraper that's been designed and built, that has no identity. It has no identity beyond the blueprints, beyond the components you've given to it. It doesn't think, it doesn't feel, and it can't act. And so, in tying men, in tying themselves to the abstract and solid objects of the world, things that they create, they've left themselves bereft of something that we could even call an identity. Because after all, doing things, that's not an identity. If I take out the trash, that's a doing, that's not an identity. But no more different is it if I build a skyscraper. Even if you design a machine to smash the atom, what does that have to do with you? Now, that's not to belittle these accomplishments. They're incredible. And we are all beneficiaries, whether we want to admit it or not, or we concede it or not, of the great achievements of the males past, particularly women. And I readily acknowledge that and appreciate that. But there can be dangers and extremes. And when you only evolve in one direction, many other paths are lost. The paths not taken. That's the problem. And what has been lost is something that, to be honest, I don't even know if it's retrievable. But what it is something that you can explore. And that's the starting point. All of these people yammering and clamoring and whinging, calling men going their own way, cowards, turning their backs on society. So we can be good little boys and productive members of society, and all the delicious irony of it all. The people who say that most frequently, the people who rant on about collectivism, those are the people who would impose forced strictures on us and demand that we conform for the sake of the so-called greater good. Those are the people for undiminished, inalienable individuality. We all know the kinds of people I'm talking about. But that's just an aside, an amusing one at that. Because these people are not worthy of our attention, and they're not worthy of having words directed at them. And so, let me pass over that. There is another frontier. It's not the conventional frontier. It's not the frontier of building a motherboard, or piloting a plane, or exploring the savannah, or even taming a horse. There's a frontier that has never been explored fully by men. I would argue individually, but certainly collectively, communally. There's a frontier, and that frontier is the frontier of the self. All those millions of years of hominids and then a few 100,000 as Homo sapiens, or probably less, we devoted all our time as men to exploring the world external to ourselves. And what MGTOW is, at least to me, it is a turning inwards. It is not a turning away from. We've turned away from nothing. We're turning inwards. It's a turning towards ourselves. We begin to ask the most difficult questions. What am I? Who am I? What am I doing? But not in the sense of, what am I doing? I need to fix the car. What am I doing with my life in respect to myself? Now, it is true we seek to understand the external world. That is necessary and unavoidable. It has to be done. But that's only done to give a point of perspective, a point of reference. Because, let's face it, most of the world works on that measure. Most of the world works on that barometer of how do I measure up against the world. So, in the sense of turning away from that, yes, but it is not a turning away from. These are just people who don't understand. It's a turning towards. It's a turning towards the self. And this affords us the opportunity to ask these questions, even if these questions must be framed along the lines of, is there a male identity? Full stop. Is there a male identity internally? Is there a male identity that exists within as opposed to without? And I have to admit, I do not yet have an answer to this. Perhaps I never will. Questioning, that is the beginning. You see, it is that profound lack of identity and the lack of questioning that leads men down the path of ruin. People often ask the question, now, why do we see the suicide rate in men being so much higher than that of women? After divorce, post-traumatic stress disorder, various causes, it makes sense, there's a causal connection. But we don't see that same behavior in women, particularly after the ending of romantic involvement situations, marriages, divorces. People try to answer the question, well, we say women have social networks that will support it. Well, that's certainly part of it. But women, as falsely as they've gone about it, have taken time to understand at the very least what they believe they need, or their quote-unquote needs. Now, oftentimes, their analysis of the self is poor, and does not reflect reality, and its interpretation of reality is basically unfeeling. And remember, women with their so-called empathy, that's nothing more than a catchword for subjective feelings that need there to go. But more importantly, they've taken the time to actually think about themselves. Whether their conclusions are accurate or not, ultimately, in the context of this discussion, that's all irrelevant. And I don't think their conclusions are accurate, but neither here nor there. So what does a man do? Well, a man has been laboring away his whole life, doing what he's supposed to be doing, being a productive member of society. That's all he knows. And that's all gone. He got fired from his job. His wife left him for another man. His 2.5 kids are gone, and the picket fence is shattered and in splinters. What's there left? Not a whole lot. Particularly since he never spent a single moment in his entire life thinking about who he was beyond that. And let's be frank, gentlemen, let's be honest. Even in our downtime, when we're just all by ourselves, and we enjoy solitude. Men enjoy solitude on a level that we never comprehend, and indeed are not even capable of. But in our downtime, in our solitude, what do we do most of the time? Once again, we are doing things. We are engaged in our hobbies, working on our hydroponics, building motherboards, building a computer, cooking, whatever it is, we're doing something. We're not giving a whole lot of thought to ourselves. You see, solitude is not something foreign to the male, not at all. But thinking in solitude, and I'm not talking about thinking about the way the motor works or what the best route is to get up the mountain, thinking about oneself, that's really tricky. It's something I've been working on for a long time, ever since I decided to go down my own path and go my own way. I still don't have a concrete solution. But many of the thoughts I come up with for videos and the things that I tend to jot down every now and then, they're done simply when I'm sitting around in my flat, staring at the ceiling, thinking. Or I'll take a walk. I'll enter the external world, but I won't pay attention to it. There's a nice park not too far away from me, far into my neighborhood. Sometimes I'll venture there to take a walk, get some fresh air, and I'll just think. I'll walk and do the laps, and I'll just think about myself and the world, and what it is that makes Stardust. Indeed, what it is that can make a man, independent of his actions. Now, the conclusions I have reached are probably not the conclusions people want to hear. I might be called a pessimist for saying this, but I owe my subscribers, I owe you gentlemen the truth, I owe you honesty. I'm obliged to do so. In thinking and observing, in the years I spent creating videos, I do believe there is an identity of the self, of an identity that exists within the man. But it's not one that will ever get acknowledgement or recognition from the external world. You see, when I walk in the park, I'm a ghost. I'm a ghost until I do something. That could be anything. That could be something outrageous. I could throw rocks at squirrels. That would get people's attention. People would pay attention. But as long as I'm just minding my own business, humming to myself, thinking, I am quote unquote nothing. But this is the grand barrier. This is the barrier that we must cross. Getting past that, if there is a male identity that exists within, that is not merely an external to what we are, it cannot be measured or quantified by the views and indeed the accolades of others. It's that simple. I've said this before, I've said similar things, but I want to say it not to reinforce it, to say it clearly, as clearly as possible. If you're going your own way, you have to learn to some degree to live without the external world. And what does that mean? I'm not talking about being a survivalist in this context. That is a separate issue. And once again, survivalism is very admirable and laudable, but something external to the self. I'm talking about being a transient being, a creature that slips in and out of that other world, but is never truly part of it. A creature that's part of your own world. You become your own world. That's essentially, in a nutshell, what going your own way is about. You become your own world. But so many men go their own way, doing the things they want to do, and I love that. I love being able to do what I want to do. I love not being on a schedule. I love not having someone yammering at me, particularly females, to take out the trash. I love the fact that I don't do the dishes for weeks, and I don't care, and I just do it whenever I feel like. I like that stuff. Don't get me wrong. But there's another element to it. There's another aspect. And that is simply taking time to think about yourself. Who am I? What could possibly make me content in this world? If anything could. And I'm not necessarily arguing that it's possible. It could be, and I don't know, it could be that man's contentment can only be rendered and created through deeds external to himself. It could be that we are so lockstep in this evolutionary path that we can set upon that. It's ineluctable. It's entirely possible. I don't know. But I'm not completely convinced of that. I think there are baby steps we can begin taking. And this, men going their own way, this is the first time in the history of the world, I would argue, that in a communal sense, collectively, on such a grand scale, that men have come together with these approach these questions. Have singular lone men done this in the past? Well, of course they have, without a doubt. But this sharing, this kind of exploration, with such a wide audience, never before has it happened. And we understand why it's so critical. It's critical because without even the attempt to create an identity of the self, of the frontier of the self, all the bad things that happen to men when they fall into emotion, turmoil, and despair, that's the outcome. The suicide, the death, the depression, the drinking, the drug addiction. Yes, even the violence inflicted towards others. All of this is the result of an inability to even guess at some sort of identity beyond what you've done in the past and what you're doing right now and what you're going to do in the future. It's a conundrum. And I don't know if it's even possible to be solved, but we need to make an attempt. All the people who yell at us, who tell us we're cowards for this and that, they think it's just about avoiding the pitfalls of marriage or avoiding difficult women. I mean, that's not even Maytao 101. That's Maytao negative 101. This is what it really comes down to. Learning who the fuck you are. That's what it's about. Because, as I said, as wrongly as women have gone about it, are. Many, if not most, of their conclusions have been utterly false, but they made an attempt. And we're trying to do that too. I'm trying to do that right now. I've left, for the time being, that external world behind. I live in solitude, and I devote my time to contemplation and thought for the most part. And once again, am I more content than I have been in the past? Absolutely. You see, in the days of yore, say 10, 15 years ago, I was extremely neurotic. Always worried about getting to work on time, or worried about the boss being angry at me, worried about what my peers thought about me, worried about, the list is endless. It goes on and on. It's a laundry list, right? That's all gone. That neuroticism. I was extremely neurotic. Extremely neurotic. And the cure for that was simple. It wasn't any of the medications I used to take in the days of yore. And yes, 15 years ago I tried Prozac. It wasn't any of that stuff. It was simply sitting down and thinking about things. And as I opened my mind, my eyes opened too. Am I as content as I would like to be? Probably not. And if I were a young man, there are many things I would like to do that I unfortunately missed out on because opportunities are long gone. But I'm much better than I used to be. And that's the key. You can call it self-empowerment if you will. I just call it discovery of personal identity. This is something that men just don't have, because all they do is what they do. Always doing stuff. And even in their downtime, they spend time doing stuff. And that's why the music stops. That's why the music stops after a divorce. Because he can't do anymore. Maybe he lost his job. His wife doesn't want him anymore. His kids have been poisoned against him. And his picket fence is in shambles. What can he do? Well, what does he do? Well, he can kill himself. He can take drugs. He can get violent. He can do all kinds of things. They're all doings external to himself. Because he has nothing to draw on within. He knows no peace. Now, what I'm describing here is not meditation. I have tried meditation in the past. I'm simply talking about downtime in the context of thinking, not just doing stuff. You can be doing things like walking around the park, but you're not actually doing it. It's not a priority. This is tricky. And the problem is the external world, the outside world, will never recognize it, never acknowledge these efforts. They'll never look at an account and say, look, they're trying to create an identity for themselves. They're trying to become content with themselves on an individual basis. They'll never say that. They'll never see that. Because they need men to be productive members of society. The problem is, the productive member of society gig, that only runs its course for so long. And then when you're lying in ruins, and we all fall ill, we all face trials and difficulties and tribulations, and when we fall down, we fall on our faces, and there's nothing but ourselves to pick us ourselves back up. And the problem there is, of course, we just do it with more doings instead of more thought. Because we have nothing to draw upon within. It's empty. A human male, unfortunately, has evolved to become an empty vessel. But it's only empty on the surface. There are deep wells of sentimentality, emotion, feeling, power, energy, thought beneath all the surface. But the surface isn't the problem. I say it's empty because that's usually the level of emotion I get to. They never go beyond that. They just look at the surface. And then see, that is empty.